continues to raise questions.
And the federal government today takes steps to make assault rifles harder to get. Good evening, I'm Clayton Vaughn.
And I'm Terry Hood, sitting in for Glenda Sylvie. The United States today banned imports of all semi-automatic weapons, including assault rifles such as AK-47s. The announcement came after National Drug Control Director William Bennett met with the heads of the Treasury Department and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms.
We have at this time pending applications for the importation of over 110,000 of these weapons. We will not be approving those. We'll be holding them in suspension. We'll be notifying the importers that they will need to satisfy us that these weapons are to be used for sporting purposes.
President Bush last week gave Bennett the responsibility to determine what to do about the weapons. The assignment came after a string of school shootings in which snipers used assault rifles. A White House spokesman says the ban was imposed after officials learned applications for imported semi-automatics had tripled in the first weeks of this year over the total for the past 3 years.
Here in Oklahoma, the state medical examiner today said the woman who died in that EMSA ambulance which was involved in a wreck yesterday died of natural causes. That answers at least one question about a confusing set of events that ended with the crash where Yale Avenue cuts underneath Skelly Drive. The wreck happened after the ambulance taking a heart attack victim was diverted from St. Francis Hospital to St. John Medical Center. St. Francis Hospital's intensive care unit was full at the time. Today, both EMSA and St. Francis officials defended the diversion.
We didn't turn the patient away. We would never do that. We were on diversion status, and that was what was reported to the EMSA dispatch.
No one was asleep at the switch. I just wish that we'd had all the beds in the city available.
St. Francis officials are saying they could have had more intensive care beds available if it were not for a shortage of qualified nurses here in Tulsa.
Well, hospitals all over the nation are feeling the pinch because of that nursing shortage. Wendy Burkeen is joining us now with more. Wendy?
You know, Terry, more nurses are working in America than ever before, but more is apparently not enough. New diseases, sicker and more elderly patients are putting an overwhelming demand on the nation's nurses and the care they give. The situation is no different here in Tulsa, where a few hospitals will fight for nursing school graduates from the class of '89.
Now, everybody's right-handed, so which glove are you going to put on first?
Right. These Tulsa Junior College nursing students are learning to put on sterile gloves that will give them protection on the job. But there's nothing to protect them from stress, long hours, and low pay. These nursing students will earn from $18,000 to $22,000 a year after they graduate. The problem is that they may not be earning much more than that from 7 to 10 years down the road. That's part of the reason for the nursing shortage. Brenda Walls, president of the National Association for Healthcare Recruitment, says there are other reasons.
Patients who used to come into the hospital for your minor surgeries are now going into outpatient clinics and outpatient surgeries. So those that are admitted are very sick. And it's that increased demand that has really created the nursing shortage.
Good morning.
Good morning. Because patients admitted into the hospital are sicker, the job of nurse is becoming more intense, more stressful. Because of that stress, many nurses are choosing to work for doctors or in the home health care field. All of that has made the competition for nurses fierce.
Even in the Tulsa area, it's highly competitive. As an example, we have had a hospital from out of this city come in and offer the students a meal in order for them to be able to talk to the students about what's available at their hospital.
Have you ever seen anything like this before?
Not to this intensity, no.
And neither have the students. What kind of deals are you hearing that are out there for nurses?
Oh, tuition, housing when you go to that state, job offers, money.
It's pretty appealing.
Oh yes, the money is.
There are no easy answers to the nursing shortage, but some hospital officials say they'll continue to make nursing as attractive as they can, and they may have to look toward increasing the number of LPNs and nurses' aides to help take the load off nurses, who are already overloaded, providing quality health care. Terry?
All right, thank you, Wendy, for that report. Tulsa police arrested 2 women in connection with an armed robbery today at Sooner Federal Savings and Loan. Just before 10 o'clock this morning, 2 people held up Sooner Federal, but as they left, witnesses were able to get a description of the getaway car and the tag number. Police then arrested 44-year-old Linda Fields and a 15-year-old girl. Police are not releasing the girl's name. Investigators say they found evidence in Fields' apartment linking the 2 women to the crime, but at this time, the money has not been recovered.
A major grass fire is threatening several hundred homes near Bartlesville this evening. Firefighting companies from at least 7 towns have been battling the blaze since 1 o'clock this afternoon. The fire began west of Bartlesville by the airport and is headed toward town. We have a crew on the way and we'll have more information at 6. It is the second day in space for the Discovery shuttle and its crew, and despite a small problem in one of the hydrogen tanks, all is going well. John Getter reports from Houston.
It had been a spectacular ride to space followed by a completely successful satellite deployment. Major goals accomplished, and Mission Control's wake-up set the tone for the second day.
Wow! I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
We're trying to figure out how you got James Brown out on parole to sing that to us.
But things are not going as well today as yesterday. There are worries about a hydrogen fuel tank which runs the shuttle generators. It is acting up. They don't know why. So the crew has been told to turn off several pieces of electrical equipment.
And it'll ensure that we have at least a 4+2 day mission.
There is the real possibility that if the problem cannot be fixed, the mission could be shortened by 1 day. That has happened once before when a different problem crippled one of those generators called fuel cells on the second shuttle mission in 1981. Mission Control says the crew is in no danger, but the mission could be shortened by the failure of what amounts to a backup generator. At Johnson Space Center in Houston, John Getter for CBS News.
A Delta jet made an emergency landing at a municipal airport east of Dallas today. A warning light falsely indicated that one of the engines was on fire. There was no fire. The crew and the 124 passengers got out all right. The Boeing 727 was headed from Atlanta to San Diego.
Eastern Airlines is fighting the strike against it by striking back. The airline has cut employee pay to less than what it was when the Machinists Union went on strike 11 days ago. More than 100 Eastern flights are in operation each day, still a far cry from the more than 1,000 operated before the strike. There was some good news for striking pilots today. The pilots of other carriers who are union members and the union itself are giving money to Eastern pilots to help them weather the storm financially. If you've bought fruit recently that came from Chile or have fruit at home and don't know where it came from, you'll probably want to throw it out. The Food and Drug Administration is warning Americans not to eat any fruit from Chile because of traces of cyanide found in red seedless grapes from that country. The cyanide was in grapes shipped to Philadelphia. The poison was found after the U.S. Embassy in Chile received a phone call from an anonymous caller. That caller had apparently threatened to poison the Chilean fruit.
Of cyanide that were found were not enough to even cause a child to be ill. The agency made this decision as a precautionary measure to protect the citizens from any possibility of injury.
Grocery stores nationwide and here in Tulsa are removing Chilean-grown fruits from their produce sections. But many grocers say that the FDA is overreacting, ruining a booming industry since nearly all grapes found in the U.S. this time of year come from Chile. The Chilean Interior Ministry is calling the tampering terrorism.
Still ahead on the broadcast, Oklahomans decide whether to shorten the legislative session.
And some important repairs get off the ground at the Gilcrease.
There's nothing more exciting than a fast break. To Pizza Hut for a great supreme deal, where exceptional leaping ability and blazing speed both come into play in pursuit of Pizza Hut's Supreme Pizza, loaded with 6 mouth-watering toppings. Now get 1 medium for $8.99, or better yet, 2 for just $4 more. And that's a deal worth running out for.
Pizza Hut, making it great. A world of imports can be yours when you shop Cimarron Pottery.
This week only. A set of 6 white willow baskets, regular $2 to $7, now 1 half price. Beautiful 14 blossom spring bushes, regular $2.69, this week only $1.59. And the popular Maralika chair, regular $9.99, this week only $6.99. All this and more now through Sunday.
When you shop Cimarron Pottery.
More than a pottery store.
In medical school, I chose to specialize in family practice. I've never regretted that decision. To me, family practice represents all the good things about being a doctor. Caring for the whole family, from babies to mom and dad, even grandparents. And that's why I chose to be a family practice physician in the first place. Caring for people.
If you need a family physician, call 744-4000. Doctors Hospital, the choice of family physicians.
Polls close at 7 across Oklahoma on State Question 620. Voter turnout light. If the question is approved, the state constitution will be changed to require legislative sessions to end by the last Friday in May. Recent sessions have stretched out into July. Supporters say 620 would force legislators to consider important bills in a more timely manner. Critics say a shorter session would only cause lawmakers to vote on bills without knowing enough about them. We'll have the results at 10.
Confirmation hearings are underway in Washington on George Bush's second nominee for Secretary of Defense, Congressman Dick Cheney. The Armed Services Committee opened the hearings today and is expected to endorse the 6th-term Wyoming Republican with no problems.
Many of us have had the opportunity to work with him on a wide variety of national security and intelligence issues, both on Capitol Hill and in other forums. In addition, 6 members of the Committee on Armed Services served with Congressman Cheney in the House of Representatives, so our nominee is certainly no stranger this afternoon.
The committee and the Senate leadership have promised to move quickly on the nomination, with nothing like the extended debate that led to the rejection of John Tower.
Former National Security Advisor Robert McFarland testified today that a letter he sent to Congress on the Iran-Contra affair would probably have come out differently if he had not written it the day before he tried to kill himself. The statement came in the trial of Oliver North, who worked for McFarland in the Reagan White House. McFarland wrote that a foreign individual had given the Nicaraguan Contras $5 million or less, when in fact it was the Saudi Arabian government that donated $32 million. McFarland blamed his state of mind at the time for his misstatements. The government announced today that the U.S. trade deficit has narrowed to its best showing since 1985. Last year, the deficit shrank by 12%. The improvement entirely in exports, not fewer imports.
Repair work began today at Tulsa's Gilcrease Museum on a problem that stumped engineers for more than a year. While some questions remain unanswered, officials are confident the new project will get the Gilcrease and its patrons on solid footing. The Gilcrease got rave reviews when it opened the doors on a $12.25 million renovation and expansion in November 1987. But it wasn't long before the bottom began to fall out. Within weeks, officials noticed the floors in 8 galleries beginning to warp. After pulling up a few floorboards, the problem became clear.
What you see is the dark areas here where glue is stuck to the wood, and the areas in here it's stuck to the floor but not the wood. Here it's stuck to the wood but not the floor.
Today, work got underway on a project that should solve the problem once and for all. Engineers were never able to figure out exactly what went wrong, but they do think they know how to make it right. After ripping out the wood, a thin plastic sheet called a floater will be laid over the concrete. Then the new floor will be installed.
It will take care of the problem with the gluing the wood to the floor, because we won't glue the wood to the floor. It'll be glued to that floater sheet.
While ripping out the old floor is sometimes a painstaking task, Brayshaw expects the work will be done in plenty of time for the annual Spring Rendezvous celebration. And after a year of worrying about warping floorboards, he doesn't have any room for doubt.
This one's going to work.
The cost of repairing the floor will run around $90,000. It's going to be split among the museum, the contractors, and also the architect's going to pick up a share on that.
All right. Now, Jim Giles joining us for a look at our weather this evening on this Tuesday. It seems to be changing out there, Jimmy.
It really is. As a matter of fact, we have a bit of Kansas moving our way right now. A lot of blowing dust out there in the air. It's going to be with us through the evening. Cooler weather for tomorrow. Forecast coming up.
At Garvey's, you'll find the lowest prices in Tulsa on elegant items for your home, like quality stainless steel silverware and hollowware from Oneida. Each piece of Oneida silverware is crafted to perfection and comes with a full lifetime warranty. You can add this fine silverware to your home at an unbelievable 40% off retail. This is not Garvey's sale price. This is Garvey's everyday low price. Discover the lowest prices in Tulsa on elegant items for your home at Garvey's.
Freedent's the one. If you've got dental work, you've got 3 great reasons to chew Freedent gum. You know Freedent won't stick to your dental work. And Freedent freshens your breath. But maybe you didn't know that Freedent moistens your mouth. So if you hate a dry mouth like I do, chew Freedent.
Freedent's the one that took the stick out of gum. And Freedent moistens your mouth. Yeah, moistens your mouth. And freshens your breath while you chew.
Non-stick Freedent moistens your mouth and freshens your breath.
The house, the lawn, and my thumb are all the same color. Brown.
Call True Green, the Southwest's most trusted expert on healthy green lawns.
I do yard work. Every week I water the weeds, mow the dandelions, herd the grubs.
Our licensed professionals get your lawn thick, green, and weed-free.
Oh, honey, our first lawn.
I remember when we made that first call.
Call True Green now for your free lawn analysis and watch your lawn spring to life.
Of all the wonderful places to catch fish, the most popular is this one, Long John Silver's, where you can tie into our 3-piece fish dinner for only $3.69. 3 flaky fillets dipped in our original secret recipe batter, served up crunchy and golden brown with all the extras, now only $3.69. Long John Silver's, the best recipe for seafood.
Well, you probably didn't notice, but we had a cold front move through before noon today. Now, temperatures stayed up, but the humidity went down. That's going to allow for a cooler night tonight. Tomorrow's going to be much cooler than we've seen today. A lot of blowing dust in the air out there right now. Sun is just hazy through that dust. 73 degrees, 16% relative humidity. Winds are by now a bit stronger than this, probably up to 30, 35 miles per hour in gusts. Rising barometer, 4-inch soil temperature. Gardeners, take note. 64 to 51, the range during the past 24 hours. Let's take a look at our current or our temperatures for the day. 76, finally our high. 50 degrees, our early morning low. There's the normal range, 37 to 60, 13 record low back in 75. It's still safe. Let me show you the satellite view. We're seeing now that dust. It's moved through the Bartlesville area down to Tulsa, just about to Oklahoma City. But you're seeing where the visibility is less than a half mile up along the Kansas line and on up into Kansas. Winds to 50 miles per hour or so over Kansas. We're getting a taste of that right now. Low temperatures this morning, we were at 50 degrees. Bartlesville was 47. Sedan, Kansas. South Lloyd reported 42 early on. Way down to the south and east of us, there's Tallahena, 58 degrees this morning. Here's a look at tonight's lows, actually remembering that they occur usually, the lows, during the early morning period. We're going to drop the 30s down over the central part of Oklahoma, push the 40s almost out of the state. I'm happy to say the 20s and teens up over Kansas will stay to the north of us in the coming days. It'll warm up though as we head into the weekend. Tomorrow, not the case. Some slightly cooler air moving in from the north. Dry conditions, lots of sunshine though, a bit on the hazy side. Some strong air out of Canada, very cold, just simply will not get to us. Next weather maker along the west coast, likely to be in here over the weekend. It's given us a pretty good chance of storms as it appears now along about Saturday. Let me show you the forecast now for the evening period. Fair skies, definitely windy, blowing dust all around. Rather gusty north winds at times, 30, maybe even a little more through the evening period. Should be down to 60 degrees by 9 o'clock, possibly a little cooler. For the overnight period, still hazy, cooler. Northern lights, we have a chance of seeing them tonight. We missed out last night because of the cloud cover. We should be mostly fair tonight. Winds north and breezy, about 37 our overnight low. And for tomorrow morning, we're looking at fair conditions, a tad chilly, I'd say. 39 degrees by 9 o'clock, sunrise is 6:35. And for tomorrow afternoon, hoping for 58. Mostly sunny skies. Should stay still quite a bit of haze around. Sun sets at 6:31. Here's our outlook now. By Thursday, we'll turn this thing around and start to warm up again. 40 to 66 anticipated. Mostly sunny skies as we head into Friday. Should make it into the mid-70s. Only a slight chance of showers on Friday. Better chance of showers or thunderstorms come Saturday. 72 Saturday's high. Sunday should be just a bit cooler, probably 57, something like that for a high. And any chance of showers I imagine early in the day Sunday. So possibility of rain this weekend.
All right, well, we could use it to cut down the dust.
Yeah, we really could.
Thank you, Jim. Still ahead now on the broadcast, the You've Got a Friend report.
Today we'll meet Margaret, a woman who doesn't let adversity stand in her way.
We're both still running great, but down the road, we'll need extra protection. For me, that's Plan 65 from Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, because Medicare won't pay for everything. Plan 65 includes 5 affordable options, and Oklahomans aged 65 through 74 cannot be turned down regardless of health. But open enrollment is for a limited time only, so call toll-free 1-800-522-9266 now. On down the road, you'll be glad you did.
With so-called free checking, it's easy to count the additional financial services that normally come with them. However, open any of the 6 individually styled checking accounts at Bank of Oklahoma, and this is just a part of the 21 additional services you'll get. All of this makes it easy for us to reintroduce 6 often forgotten words of wisdom. You get what you pay for. Fair-priced, full-service checking, guaranteed from Bank of Oklahoma, members FDIC.
Extra, extra, read all about it this week on Win, Lose, or Draw.
Psychic's head explodes.
Hollywood's hottest celebrities reveal all.
I think we'll just cover that up.
Martin Mull denies artistic talent.
No!
Kevin Dobson confesses to having fun.
It was just incredible.
Jackie Collins shares secret desire.
That's great for me, isn't it?
And Marsha Warfield pleads the fifth. Catch all the stories this week on Win, Lose, or Draw.
Weekdays at 6:30 on Channel 6.
Since 1961, when Dwayne got his first and only Cub Cadet tractor, he's gone through several changes, while his Cub Cadet has remained faithfully the same. No wonder. It's built tough the American way, without resorting to imported parts, with a cast front axle and a welded steel frame that lasts and lasts. It's kept Dwayne's little corner of the world trim and fit. Unfortunately, it couldn't do the same for Dwayne. Cub Cadet, tough tractors for your little corner of the world.
As we mentioned earlier in the broadcast, a major grass fire is threatening several hundred homes near the town of Bartlesville. Channel 6 News reporter Terry Hadley is now at the intersection of U.S. Highway 75 and Highway 20 north of Tulsa. Terry, what's going on out there?
Well, Terry, we were on our way out to Bartlesville. We're still 40 miles south. Another grass fire has started. All of this in the last half hour. It started west of U.S. Highway 75. The wind is blowing tremendously. The fire has jumped the highway and now is, as you can see, about 50 feet behind us. The flames are picking up big at the lead end of the fire. Toward the back side, looking back a mile, as I look over the horizon, the fire seems to be dying down. The winds are just picking up tremendously, though. We understand there is a northwest area of Bartlesville, the Oak Park Housing Addition, that is being threatened at this hour. We're not sure exactly how many fires are throughout this area, but we noticed the smoke right at the north end of Tulsa. You can see how quickly this fire is spreading. It was about 60 feet from me about a minute ago, and now it is about 25 to 30 feet. We'll be keeping you updated. In the meantime, we would advise nobody travel north on U.S. Highway 75. The cars here are having to turn back. They're driving through smoke and then finally turning around, going back to Tulsa. Emergency equipment is on the way, but this is something that the local emergency units just can't handle, and it's something that's going to have to burn out by itself. But with the winds picking up, I don't think that's going to happen for a while, Terry.
All right, thanks, Terry, and of course we'll check back with you at 6 for more information. Clayton?
Well, when some people lose one of their senses, they focus on what they cannot do. But in today's You've Got a Friend report, we meet a lady who focuses on what she can do. Robert Joffe introduces us this evening to Margaret, a Tulsa senior looking for a friend.
Everything to the right. It's all to the right.
And do you know where the right is? I don't.
It's not that Margaret doesn't know where the right is, she just can't see it. Margaret's blind. She was born without sight, but she makes up for it in determination.
And I just try to live a normal life and do the best I can. Some people want to feel sorry for me. I'm not asking for sympathy. I just ask them to respect what I'm trying to do. Get busy. Get at it. Come on, get at it. Strike, strike, strike.
A year ago, Margaret had a blackout and fell down. She's been in a wheelchair ever since. But she refuses to let that get in her way. She still does everything she's always done. including square dancing and with the help of this chute, bowling. Do you have some big, long theories on how you do well at this?
I don't think I have a theory on anything I do.
But at 72, she still likes to do it all. Right now, she's looking for a friend to do things with. She's all alone. Well, almost all alone.
Just me and my dog.
Margaret has no transportation, and she loves conversation. She's hoping to find a friend.
Friendship it fills a lot of, well, an emptiness in your life. If you got friends, even if it's a dog or people, you have something to look to.
Yes, ma'am. Every one of them.
Ah, boy.
Margaret is not only a good bowler, she doesn't mind sharing some of her good luck with a not-so-good bowler. And there's no doubt in my mind that her way of talking to the ball can help anyone's game.
Sick of it.
If you have time to share with a senior citizen, call Elder Care at 747-6565.
And I'll be there, yeah, yeah, yeah. You've got a friend.
Robert Jaffe, Channel 6 News.
I'm going to try that next time.
Would improve my score, that's for sure. Bowling is always a lot of fun, but what toys are kids going to want this Christmas?
Even though it's not even St. Patrick's Day yet, the Christmas rush is already on. That story is next.
Centennial Moment is sponsored by F&M Bank.
In the 1800s, during tornado season, the Cheyenne and Arapaho gathered between the Canadian and North Canadian rivers. They believed the legend that tornadoes wouldn't strike between these two banks. Tornadoes have always brought destruction to Oklahoma, entire towns almost destroyed, with many Oklahomans losing their lives. But it wasn't until 1961 that the Cheyenne and Arapaho legend came to an end. Just north of Gary, a tornado struck between the Canadian and North Canadian rivers. And that brought to an end the Indian legend, but the beginning of something much safer. This was the first tornado spotted by radar. Celebrating the spirit of Oklahoma, I'm Clayton Vaughn.
Since 1946, generations of Tulsans have placed their confidence in F&M Bank. F&M is a proud sponsor of Oklahoma Centennial Moments.
Centennial Moment was sponsored by F&M Bank.
The Broadmoor, the destination where friendships grow.
I love the Broadmoor. I love what it's done for my mom. Her whole attitude towards life is much more cheerful.
Mother can now do more of volunteer work, which she's always enjoyed doing, because she has a little more freedom. Isn't anybody ready for a little bit easier time of it?
Call for a free tour of the Broadmoor.
Why are Shoney's waitresses so fast and so efficient? Shoney's Boot Camp.
Drop down and give me 20. No!
At Shoney's, we could spend money to put cute little fish in tanks, an attractive plastic fish on the wall, or some darling fish nets on the ceiling. But then we wouldn't be able to put so much fish on your plate.
Coming up on the news at 6, for the first time in nearly 20 years, Tulsans are going to vote on a bond issue for improvements at Tulsa Public Schools. Kim Graham will have the report. And we'll join Bob Stevens live from the Tulsa Pavilion for the beginning of the CBA playoffs this evening. Join us for those reports and more coming up at 6.
In case you've lost track, there are only 286 shopping days left until Christmas. Why the reminder? Well, because while you're still paying off last year's bills, toy makers are gearing up for this year's giving season. What's new? What's exciting? Well, Herb Weisbaum tells us from New York.
Herb, come on out with your hands up.
As always, toy makers have come up with some zany items this year. This remote-controlled hovercraft is great fun. It runs on both water and land. Suggested retail, $109. Few toys this year will cost that much. Faced with less than spectacular sales recently, toy makers are doing what they can to keep prices down. At Hasbro, 80% of this year's line is $10 or less.
I'll go out and make good, fun, affordable products, and that's where we are next year and hopefully for 30 years to go.
Fun in many cases means simple, like the Grabbits, a family of soft, colorful bunnies with long, flexible, bendable ears. Or cute little puppies with long, silky hair kids can comb.
What we did this year is took basic features, basic kinds of play, and introduced them in a 90s kind of way.
A few years ago, everyone had dolls that talked. Now this is considered high-tech, a doll with some battery-powered lights. Dolls that do talk use the old-fashioned pull string.
That's right, Vern. Just pull the string and...
That string puts the kids in control. And once again, it's okay to have a doll that does nothing but look pretty.
One way to play it safe in these tough times is with line extensions. If you have a successful, well-known line of toys, like Ghostbusters or Transformers or My Little Pony, you just add new characters to the line, and that's exactly what toy makers are doing this year.
So Mattel is expanding its popular Hot Wheels race car line and adding even more items to its extensive Barbie line. Toy makers are also bringing back some classic toys, like Betsy Wetsy, the doll that wets her diaper. She first came out in 1952. The rule for this year is, if you've got a proven winner, go with it. This is Herb Weisbaum reporting.
And remember, only 286 days.
I will be counting them off, as I'm sure Mr. G will as well. That's the 5 o'clock edition of the news. We'll be back here at 6.
And I'll see you here again tomorrow. The CBS Evening News with Dan Rather is next. Good night.